morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the 2013-2014 school year. We are very excited to have you with us. This school year promises many changes with great opportunities for our students to be successful. You will see changes in our leadership, procedures, communication, standards, and effective classroom strategies. As we embark on a journey that will be challenging, I encourage you to embrace change. Work hard and stay the course. Change will not be easy, but it is necessary. My doors will always be open to assist you in any way possible. Again, welcome, and I wish you a successful school year.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone had a restful and relaxing summer, and I hope everyone is excited to be here this morning. As I was preparing to make a few remarks this morning, I was cleaning out my desk, and I ran across a cartoon that I had seen and clipped out several years ago. And when I read that cartoon, I chuckled a little bit because it was about teachers, and many of you have probably seen this cartoon before. It's a bedroom scene, and a motherly figure walks into the bedroom, and there's someone cowering underneath the covers, and the caption says on top, "First day of school," and then underneath it says, "But dear, you have to go, you're the teacher." And I thought about that caption, and of course, like I said, I laugh because it's, our profession, and there's days that we have like that. But what I thought about was that the educators that I have had the good fortune to work with over the past years are not cowering underneath those covers. They are excited. They are enthusiastic. They are ready for those students to come on Friday. Many of them are in their classrooms. They're calling. "Are the floors waxed? Can I get in my room?" Yes, the floors are ready. Come on. They're putting things up in their room. They're asking their principal daily, "Are the rosters ready? Do I know who my students are?" They have that excitement. And so as you prepare for Friday, I hope that you have that excitement, because the task that we have is so important. Not only do we mold young people to help them to be ready for college or career, we are the builders of our community. Because as our public education goes, how well we educate our public will then determine what type of community that we have here in Jackson. So when those students and parents walk in Friday, meet them with a smile. Make sure they know that they are the most important things that we have in our community. And I hope you have a great and effective school year. Thank you and welcome today. And now at this time, if you would please stand. We will have our color guard, and it will be presented by Northside High School Air Force ROTC, commanded by Colonel Chris Pope and Commander Sergeant Wayne Barron. After the presenting of our colors, our national anthem will be sung by the Madison Ensemble. We will then have a Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will have the decking of colors. So if you remain standing during this time, thank you.
Color, march! Mark time, march! Ready, time! Colors, march! Color, home! Present,
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars to the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order and right haste. Forward march.
Dr. Verna Ruffin as follows. Sponsor leaders for the credit union, remarks by Jeff Davis for JMCSS, remarks by Edwin Hernan from the United Way, then Dr. Ruffin will come again.
Good morning. Good morning. It's wonderful to see all of these smiling faces. But you know, I used to sit where you're sitting for about 40 years, and I know sometimes I had to fake that smile a little bit. So I know what you're thinking, I know. But every year is exciting, isn't it? There's something exciting about the beginning of the school year. But I'm here this morning on behalf of Mayor Jerry Gist to welcome all of you to a great year that we know you're going to have in Jackson-Madison County Schools. And you know, I didn't know it was going to be a great year until just now. And now as I look at your faces, just so many people in this room, I'm really in awe of the expertise that this room is now filled with. And that's not the way in descendants, is it, English teachers? How quickly I forget. At any rate, honestly and sincerely, I see the faces of what I think must be a gathering of so much intelligence, talent, creativity, training, hard work, commitment, and resilience of any people in the city of Jackson or Madison County, right here in this room. I got into a discussion in a Sunday school class a month or so ago, and I got a little bit peeved at the teacher who was doing a good job, but because there were a few teachers in the room, they were making comments about, you know, pray for us because in a couple of weeks school starts, and some were saying, you know, I'm going to be in a different school, and, you know, I'm worried about that. And they were expressing their concerns, and the teacher said, and he's never been in education, he said, but you have such an easy job. Well, now, I was in church, but those of you that know me pretty well know it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut. And I didn't like that. But I tried to keep my cool and sort of settle down a little bit. And then I did talk to him after class. And basically, this is what I said. And I'll try to summarize it a little bit because there's a lot on the program, and I had a lot to say to them. But I told him that teachers worked harder than anybody in any other profession that I knew, including his. I to sundown. And when he made the comment, but you only work 10 months a year, I said, well, it's far closer to 12 than 10. They sacrifice weekends, quality time with family and friends. And when they go to vacations, they always have a satchel with them, with work at the beach or wherever. They've got that satchel. And they're sacrificing their time, their quality time with their families, to work on lesson plans and design strategies that meet standards, but somehow also provide instruction that's fun, that's relevant, that's effective. They reach out to parents. They go the extra mile for those students who are having learning difficulties. They go another extra mile for those students who have bright minds, but they know they've got to challenge them, come up with activities that will challenge those minds and take them further than maybe even the grade level that they're in at the time. I also said that teachers literally agonize and lose weight and go through so much stress over obstacles that most of the time they don't have any control over, but that make it even more difficult for them to impart knowledge to their students. I said, even though teachers with their training and expertise could find a job that would be more lucrative, and they could find a job that would be less stressful, and they could find a job that would have less scrutiny, teachers are heroes. They teach because they love children, but mainly they teach or they educate children because they want to make a positive difference in the lives of those children. Now, this gentleman has 3 children, and he did tear up a little bit, and I was so glad. And I just want to say that regardless of when you chose to teach, whether it was in middle school or high school or college, or maybe you had other careers before you finally made the decision that you wanted to teach. But you know, all of you in this room have something in common. All of you do. No matter when it was, where it was, you made a commitment, and you all made the same commitment. You wanted to make a positive difference in the lives of children. And I just don't think that we appreciate you enough. I don't think that we realize that you're the superheroes that you are. But you are in the noblest of all professions. And I thank God for you.
Through the year, Mary Guest and I make various speeches at various clubs and organizations, various venues, and there's one sentence that I always, maybe it's 2 sentences, Vicki, I'm not sure, I hadn't thought about that I always include every speech, and that is the quality of our school system will determine the future of this community. The quality of the school system will determine the future of this community. Whether that's good, mediocre, or bad, it will have a direct influence on the future of our community. You hold it in your hands. You're the people that we, the community, look to and depend on to give us students out of our and through our school system that can become thriving, productive, contributing citizens for our future. And you can do it. I want to tell you one short personal story. I am what you would call a average to below average student, depending on which year, whether I was below or above. When I was a junior in high school, I had an English teacher who was so engaged in English. I mean, she just loved literature. but she loved to talk about the Canterbury Tales, and you name it. We read some of the strangest stuff I've ever tried to read. I made it through that course. I actually think I got a B in her course, but she was a very hard teacher. Well, very hard. So the next year, the senior year in high school, when you're supposed to be coasting, I was supposed to have a teacher who I had been really looking forward to having because she was an easy teacher. So the first day of class, we go in, and the teacher I expected to be there was not there. The teacher from my junior year was there. And I really was pretty. Say it again? Oh. I really was very depressed. I've got another year to really struggle to make a grade. So we had been going to class, and I would do my work and this and that. So about a month into school, she told me one day when the bell rang, she said, "I'd like to talk to you a minute after class." And so I thought, oh gosh, what have I done now? So I go up to her and she said, "I'd just like to know if there's something wrong with you." And I said, "Well, no, ma'am." I said, "Why do you ask?" She said, "Well, last year we had a good year. We laughed, we talked, we joked. You had such a good attitude, and this year you just seemed so down and depressed." And I said, "Well, no, ma'am." And so I left, and that conversation took about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And I thought about that after I went home, and she was right. I didn't have the right attitude. I was depressed because I had her again. So I decided, I'm gonna take a different attitude in, and I did. And I want you to know it's one of the best classes I ever had in my life. I enjoyed it so much, but my point is that she made the effort to recognize I had an issue going on with me. A 30-second conversation changed that whole class around. And I actually think I made an A out of that class, which is a real stretch for me. You will make a difference in every kid you teach this year. You can make a difference on a personal level with each kid at some point during this year. I challenge you to think about and try to make a difference in one kid every day. There's kids that certainly have issues at home, that have, issues we can't even identify with. But you can make a difference being an encouraging, compassionate listener to that child. I promise you can. And I am not an educator, y'all. I have so much respect for you for choosing this profession, for choosing to dedicate your life to teaching children, because you've got a daunting task. But I want you to know that right now, today, I think we've got the best school board we've probably had in 25 years in the school system. And I want to applaud them for that. I also think we've got the best superintendent that we could possibly have in Ms. Ruffin. We've got some of the best principals there are around. But most of all, and most importantly, we've got you. And you are absolutely the tops there are anywhere in education. And I know you're going to take to heart what is all the changes that are going on. And I understand that there are continuous changes in education, and you continually have to adjust what you do, how you do it, whatever report you have to do. And I know it's tough. But I saw this morning, Mr. Carey and I were talking outside a few minutes ago. I saw this morning more enthusiasm, more smiles, more can-do attitude in a group of people that I've seen in a long time. You have it, you can do it. Our community's counting on you, and I want you to know we're there to help you do your job better. Thank you, and God bless you.
A few minutes before 8 o'clock this morning, as many of you were in here already seated, visiting, many of you were in the foyer trying to make your way in, some loud music came on. Maybe you heard it, maybe you were paying attention, maybe you weren't. But I want to let you know that the first song, those songs were played for a purpose. The first one was by Eric Clapton, a song called Living on Tulsa Time. The second song was by Johnny Cash and June Carter, a song called I'm Going to Jackson. Surely you recognize the significance of those two songs. Last September, Superintendent Buddy White informed the school board and made a public announcement that he would be retiring in June. In October, the school board began the long process of finding and hiring a superintendent to replace him. We began the process with advertising the position nationally. 36 people applied for the job. Out of those 36, 8 of them were interviewed. All 8 were qualified. All 8 were competent. Any one of the 8 could have probably done the job. But we were looking for more than that. We were looking for the right fit for our board, and more importantly, for our students, for our teachers. We were looking for the right fit. So from those 8, the board selected 3 to interview again. After interviewing those 3 for the second time, without eliminating any one of the 3, the board selected a lady from Louisiana who is currently working in Tulsa as the one we were most interested in. On a cold January day, 7 of the 9 board members went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and spent a full day and part of another day talking with people within the Tulsa Public Schools District. We talked to the superintendent, we talked to senior staff members, we talked to support staff out in the schools. Some of the people knew why we were there and why we were asking questions. Some of them didn't have a clue. We heard nothing, absolutely nothing but positive things about this lady we were inquiring about. We talked to probably, I would guess, about 60 people throughout that day or another. And we would, with each group or each individual, we would ask them, okay, you've told us her strengths. You've told us the positives about her. Tell us her weaknesses. Tell us what you don't like about her. Not one person said one thing that was negative about this lady. These 7 members of this 9-member board, at the end of that trip, felt like we had found the right fit. We came back and reported to the other 2 board members who could not make the trip, and they agreed after what we had told them. After they had done their own research, all 9 board members agreed we had found the right fit. It is my pleasure to introduce, and I ask you to please welcome our new superintendent, Dr. Verna Ruffin.
For that warm introduction. Thank you for being here today. And wow, this is just amazing. As I look out and look at all of the people who influence children in this district. You're the most powerful people that our children will ever see, and you make a difference. And let me just tell you a little bit about me before we go into the power of women and the vision. I'm not here this morning to give us a motivational speech, because motivational speeches are really good for the time being, and then we all go to the real world and we're going, I don't feel that good anymore. Just because it's tough. So it's not about motivation, but it is about vision and about purpose. And I think everything is intentional. I don't think anything just kind of happens by chance. So just to give you a little background, when we came to look at this beautiful church, we thank our church for welcoming us this morning and for the use of this great facility. We walked in, and I was told, you're going to be here. And I thought, wow, okay. It's really great to have the Holy Spirit on your side. Because when superintendents get selected, you have such a tremendous job to do that you know and you realize, and I think you've heard it in the interview, you can't do this by yourself. And that is so true. You absolutely cannot do this work by yourself. So this morning, I also know that nothing happens just by chance. It's not by accident. So the music, I told my staff, we had a meeting about a week ago when our principals came in and said, I really need music. And they kind of looked at me. And I said, no, I really want music. And it was quiet. And so I said, okay, my life includes music. You can't live without it. It was very... So, and my background is such that, I taught band for 15 years. Those were amazing. And so there was music in our facility at that time. And this morning, when I walk in, I was told, okay, Mr. Cliff selected this music, can you hear it? And sometimes with the acoustics being what they are, I can't really hear about it. The first song is Living on Tulsa Time. And I thought, oh, I did that. Because I started transitioning in January. That's an appropriate song, and I love that song. And then the second one was Purposeful, and I'm going to Jackson, and I really have enjoyed Johnny Cash's music, but that's probably one of the favorite songs of the time. When it came out, I had no idea where Jackson, Tennessee was. And so, very appropriate and very much setting the tone for this morning. So I thank you for selecting that, and I thank you for the great introduction, David. I would like to introduce members of our board because they mean a great deal to me. They mean a great deal to me, and I'm not saying that just because they're here. I'm saying that because every time a board decides to select a superintendent, they take a chance on that person to be able to carry out the mission and the purpose for which they've hired them. So I thank you for that. I thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I am so excited. I'm so excited that yesterday, I kind of considered, I had so many first days, but my first official day was July 1st, and then yesterday was kind of the first day because yesterday started some of the preparation that we had for the new school year. And so I stayed up and decided that I was going to clean house till 2 o'clock in the morning. And had to wake up at 4 in the morning. So yesterday I was just really out of sorts, but I had a full day anyway. Realizing yesterday how excited I was, and I have been that way for over 35 years in the profession, but yesterday was no different than my very first day on my very first job when I went to work. And I thought, so I I still have it. I'm excited. And I'm excited because there's a purpose for which I come to Jackson, Tennessee. And this board has placed confidence in me to get the job done. And I thank you for that opportunity. So we have David Cliff, who is our board chair. Dr. Joe Mays, who is our vice chair. Dr. Mays, are you here this morning? I ask that you stand when I call you Bob Alvey. Mr. Alvey may be out of town. We have Jim Campbell. Good morning. We have Janice Hampton. Is Hampton right here? We have Jeffrey Head. We have Truman Murray. We have George Neely. I would like to now, as board members, there's not their time is of service to an entire community, and they have invested their time for a purpose. And we're going to talk about the vision and the mission in a little while, but they're very intentional about what needs to happen in Jackson, as well as the messages that we heard this morning from our mayor and from our mayor's office. We really appreciate both of you being here today. I want you to know that this is an entire community that we are affecting, and it's such an important mission. I saw someone in the store as I was shopping, and she said, "I'm a former teacher." And I said, "Isn't that the best profession in the world?" And she did a double take, and she said, "Yeah, it is." Because so often when we say that, someone just says, "Oh, my job is so hard. We have all these changes. Right hand doesn't seem to know what the left hand is doing. I don't really know. I'm not really that excited about it." If that's what we say, that's what it will be. You have to know that you matter, and you have to know that what you do matters. Whether you think someone hurt you or not, they do hear you. Our attitude comes out in more ways than just our words. So it's very important that you know, all of our teachers here, that you know that every single day, children listen to you. They hear your words. Your attitude comes out in more ways than just words. It comes out in your actions, comes out in what you say and you don't say. So it's very, very important. You are very important. And so the work that I have been charged to do is not done in isolation. You have to have great people working towards a common cause. It has to be a common cause. It can't be personal agenda. It has to be, why are we here, and are we working towards making great things happen for the benefit of children? And so I would like to introduce to you my executive team, and these are the folks that I depend on every single day, because one person cannot make this work happen alone. And so I'd like to introduce them to you and ask that they stand also when their names are called out. I have Dr. Melinda Broyles. She is in charge of federal projects and grant management. We have Mr. Brian Chandler, who is the leader of secondary education. Responsibilities lie with our secondary schools. We have Dr. Brian Ford, who is our Director of Human Resources, who is responsible with his staff for working and hiring, the hiring process, and processes for all of our employees in the district. And we have Dr. Versi Hamlet, who is the leader of elementary education, and she works with all of our elementary schools. We have Dr. Portia Heckman, who is the supervisor of student services, who works with students and families and all of you in your schools in various capacities. We have Mr. Curtis Gillespie, who is our career and technology education supervisor. We have Chuck Jones, who is our chief of technology. We have Mr. Stan Parker, who is our Director of Operations, and I've joked with Stan more than one time that on the first day of school, Stan, everything that goes wrong, we're handing it over to you. But it's not going to go wrong. He's worked very hard this summer with his staff to make everything go right. We have Mr. Scott Stuckey, who is the testing and homebound supervisor. We have Dr. Vivian Williams, who is the leader of exceptional student education. Together with their staffs and together with all of us, this executive team works with me every day for the purpose of supporting schools. And so I thank you for joining that team and for being a part of that team and for being here this morning. I really appreciate you. Just a little bit about me that precedes what we're going to talk about this morning. Let's see if I have to put in a plug for technology. We really need technology. I'm going to talk about our vision. This is very important because we have to know where we're going if we're going to get there. So something has to drive that, and that's our vision and our mission in Jackson, Madison County Schools. Our vision is that all graduates will be effective problem solvers and have acquired the knowledge and skills to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. Now that's more than words to me. That means we have to put some action behind this to make that happen. Those are not just words on a piece of paper. I take it very, very to heart because that's the reason why we're here. To make certain that our students are ready and prepared, that they're going to be effective problem solvers, that tells us we have to put things into place that will make that happen. Those are not just empty words on a piece of paper that look good when people look at our website. It's critical that we understand that that vision comes with a purpose. How are we going to get our graduates ready to be effective problem solvers and have acquired the knowledge and skills to be lifelong learners and productive citizens? That's key. Those are not empty words. It requires action. It requires action on our part. It requires us to be able to have things in place to assure that that happens. And when you look at the data, and when you look at the facts, we have to ask ourselves, do those numbers tell us that we're preparing the majority of all of our kids to be problem solvers and to be productive citizens? And so, as we talk about vision and mission, you'll also see a challenge in here for us. And it's a challenge for our Board of Education, it's a challenge for the superintendent, it's a challenge for every single person sitting in this room, because every single person has to work together to make that happen. We're very fortunate this morning that we have our teachers, but we also have our support staff. And I thank you for being here this morning. It's every single person in this room, plus many people who are not here today, that will help us to be able to make that vision a reality in the district. It's our bus drivers. It's our cafeteria staff. It's everyone that has any contact with kids and everyone that prepares the way for kids to have a really good place to go as they're learning each and every day. So it's everyone. It's our secretaries who answer the phone. It's our clerk, staff. It's our people who take care of attendance. It's our teacher assistants. It's every single person in this room plus a wider community that will help us, but we have to have that common vision. So that common vision that our students are prepared for college, that they're prepared after they graduate with us. When we start challenging ourselves and we look at data, we look at our numbers, do we have large numbers of our students across our district who are reading at or above grade level? And if our answer is no, our numbers are kind of flip-flopped, we have larger numbers of students who aren't there, then we have to go back and revisit that vision, and we have to say, but our vision is that a graduate is going to be an effective problem solver, and they're going to have acquired the knowledge and skills to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. So what are we going to do when the majority of our students aren't able to do that yet? And so that's, your vision is, we have to have a vision for student success in Jackson-Madison County schools. That's critical. And so as we're looking at 2013-14 school year, you know, our principals have met with them, the assistant principals had an opportunity to meet with the instructional coaches, and now I'm meeting with all of you. We have to align everything so that we can make that happen. And if we're not there yet, because we're not, we have to put in some structures to be able to get there, and we have to stay the course. So, as a new superintendent coming in, and kind of like Mr. Chandler, when he was referring to the cartoon, you know, this person who doesn't want to go to work or doesn't know why, you know, they're going to work, and it's, you know, people don't like me, and I have to get there early, I have to do all these things, and for this person, they might have been the principal, that could equally be the superintendent. Because as a superintendent, I have to set the tone for the district. You have to take my lead on that. I have to have that vision. You have to know exactly where I am trying to lead this district. And to be able to do that, I'm not going to make everybody happy. But my purpose is to be able to unify an entire district for a common purpose of being able to achieve our vision in Jackson-Madison County schools. So it's not, okay, go to work, you're the new superintendent, we want you to make certain that everything goes well into the district. Oh, by the way, you can't change anything. But if we don't change to be able to reach our vision and mission, if we keep doing what we've always done, we'll keep getting what we've always gotten, and that's not good enough. Our mission is to prepare tomorrow's leaders by providing a safe, caring, learning environment, working in cooperation with families and the community, and providing appropriate curriculum and effective instruction. That appropriate curriculum and an effective instruction, we can translate that by also making certain that that equates to a highly effective teacher and a highly effective principal in every single building. Because once you have those two, not one or the other, both, highly effective teacher. Highly effective teachers are teachers that know that they have the toughest job in the world and they're willing to do it based on student achievement. You know that you arrive when your students have achieved a rigorous level of learning. Not just a bare minimum, but a rigorous one. Now, I will tell you, the curriculum is going to be important to that. I know there's some frustration in our district because, you know, we've worked hard. We may not see the results that we wanted to see or that we thought we were going to see. I want you to know that to address the curriculum part, the part that we have to have for every single teacher in this district, that we need to make known to parents and to our community is, what is it do we expect students to learn and be able to do? We have to be very clear on that. So we know we have some work to do in the area of curriculum. I think once you have that piece, that will be a lifeline so that you will be very clear on what is it that children need to know and be able to do. And so that is important as well. Because you can have a lot of people working really, really hard, but if you're not working on the right thing, you're not going to see the results that you want. And I believe some of that may have played a significant part in where we are right now. So we're going to work on that curriculum piece. It's important. You can't go anywhere without it. It's like going on a trip, but you're not really sure where you're going. So how are you going to know when you get there? I don't know. I may have had I had fun on the way, but I don't really know if I got to my destination. But wherever I landed, I'm okay with it. I'm adventurous. You know, we have to be more strategic in education than just adventurous. We really have to have that roadmap, and I think that's the curriculum piece. And we're going to work really hard to get that to you so that we can all know where we're going. We will all know what children learn and should learn and be able to do. But our mission is huge because we're preparing tomorrow's leaders. That's huge. When you know that a person's life and destiny is in your hands, that's huge. For every single person in this room, the life of a child is totally dependent on what you say to them in such a way that it can inspire them to reach beyond what they think they can achieve. That's huge. And you might say, no, that's too much weight. I don't believe that a teacher makes that much of a difference. I will tell you a teacher makes that much of a difference. And they may not make that much of a difference on only the children that they see every day. It could be someone that you see in the hall. It could be someone that really admires you from afar. You don't really know how many people you can influence until you recognize the fact that you influence people. Every one of us influences others. People pay attention. They pay attention to what you say in the grocery store. It's not a conversation that you're having with a buddy. It's a conversation you may have with your buddy that someone else heard you say. It's that comforting word that you may have said to a child who's in the hallway, perhaps misbehaving. But when you redirected them firmly, but you redirected them because you knew they were going down the wrong path. And you never know which child you may have made a difference in their lives. So you have to know that words are powerful. And I will tell you that I say that with a lot of experience. And I say that because I know teachers can set the bar for children to achieve. I know teachers were very instrumental in my life, and I had those who were great supporters, and I had those who placed limits on my life. And I know that for all of us in here, some of us may have experienced that. It's someone who just places a limit on your life because they believe this is what you can achieve. And I'm telling you that we can't afford to place a limit on the lives of a child. We have to challenge them, stretch them beyond imagination. When they say that they're tired, we have to push them to go beyond what they think is their capacity. I know many of you have heard this, and I'm going to tell it to you briefly just again. I was very fortunate in my life to have a mother who understood the importance of an education. And so when I was a junior in high school and I aspired to be a band director, and the teacher told my mom that couldn't happen because I had not had piano lessons. It would have been an easy fix for my mom to just say, well, you'll have to pick another profession because the teacher said. Because teachers' words are powerful. Teachers matter. If a teacher says something, that's as good as gold. So that could have determined my destiny. Those words could have determined my destiny. And for the life of me, I don't understand why it didn't, because my mother always believed the teacher. She always did. I mean, if the teacher said that students had to go to school and your skirts had to be a certain length, mine were always 2 inches longer. You know, if the teacher said that your homework had to be done on time, mine had to be done early. So I have no idea what made my mother tell the teacher what she did. So when the teacher says I couldn't major in music because I had not had piano, my mother said, well, I'll just find someone to teach her. What a novel idea. But it was expensive. My mother never asked how much it was going to cost. She never said, I don't think I can afford it, because I know she couldn't. But she determined that my destiny was so important that she was going to get piano lessons for me. And she had a trial in getting someone to teach piano lessons. But she found someone. And of course, the rest is history. I did major in music twice. And you can rest assured that my mother went back to that teacher and said, she did it. She did it twice, and she's still going strong, and she's not finished yet. So my mother was also clear that she couldn't place limits on me, and if this is what I needed, then this is what she was going to make certain that I received. I say that to you because when you're talking with children who aspire to be something and you don't believe that they can get that far, as a teacher, your responsibility is that you tell them what they need to get there. You don't tell them that they can't get there. And if it's something that you need to begin at a very early age, and I do believe it begins in elementary school, when children say they want to do something, it is our responsibility to be able to tell them and show them what they need to get there. Not our responsibility to say, I don't believe you can. Because our words are powerful. Have you ever heard someone to say, well, you know, I tried as hard as I could, but we can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. You ever heard someone say that about people? Or, you know what? I really like them. They're a really sharp person, but they're not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Or, you know, that elevator doesn't go up to the top. You know, we put limits. We say those kinds of things. But words are powerful. Words from educators influence the lives of others. We need to understand the power of our words. And I say that to you and spend so much time talking about mission and talking about vision because our words set the tone for that vision and that vision. If we have a vision, we know what we're working towards. And consequently, we can place what we value, we can place resources, we can place funding to make certain that we can achieve those things. You know, as I'm visiting schools and as I'm visiting community, I hear repeatedly that in Jackson, we have lots of job opportunities. What we're lacking is we're lacking the skills and the talents of people to assume those jobs. Now, while I believe that we have to do that as an entire community to prepare people, I believe that it rests upon our schools to be able to prepare children for the future that can be theirs once they're prepared for it. And I want to tell you folks that our strategic plan is very clear on what we need to do. One of them is that we work on let's see. There's a plug for technology. We've got to keep moving this. Provide more opportunities for all students to be kindergarten ready. Increase focus and resources on K-3 literacy. Develop and implement a program of middle school turnaround. and all students graduate prepared for success in post-secondary learning and or careers. That's huge and yet is specific. We've got to prepare students for the academic challenges. We've got to prepare them. And everyone in this room, our emphasis on pre-kindergarten through second grade will determine what happens to a child for the rest of their lives. By the time a student reaches third grade, if they are incapable of reading, the likelihood of that child remaining in school has already diminished. Because they don't just catch up after they enter third grade not reading. They fall further behind. And so it is incumbent upon us, as an entire district, to focus our attention on early development of reading and comprehension and literacy. It's key. When we have done our work in 2013-14, we should see a tremendous increase in our students' ability to read on grade level by the time they finish second grade. It's that critical. Only then can we turn this around. And so we're putting things in place to make certain that we support schools in reaching that goal, but that's just how critical it is. After students move on, incapable of reading, the problem only gets worse. So we put in some other strategies and some resources, but they have to be strategic, and we have to understand that in third grade and beyond, it's no longer, let's have some effective strategies. Because if people can't read, the strategies don't matter. You can't strategize if you can't read. So we've got to teach kids to read, even if they're older, until they're able to read. Then they can comprehend what they've read. Then they can be those critical thinkers. Then they can problem solve. But we've got to do that first. You're going to see an emphasis on that this year. You're going to see it very strongly. The conversation will probably sound like I have tunnel vision, because we're going to stay focused on the real issue. Middle school turnaround. Middle school turnaround is serious business. You can't keep doing what you've always done and expect that you're going to get a different result. So middle school turnaround is key. It's not just a word you throw out there. It is intentional. It requires the right people on the boat or on the bus. It requires serious business, and when you turn it around, you have to have that vision with the entire staff. It can't be some or just, we're going to start off small. It has to be intentional, and everyone has to know that everyone plays a part in the turnaround. Put in resources that will help you to address the fact that we have many students in middle school that are not reading in grade level, and so your scheduling is important for that. How you apply interventions. But guess what? Kids can't stay in intervention forever. And not all of our children need intervention. So it's to prepare our students to be challenged so that they have hope. They know that this is to help them, and once they've achieved a certain mark, they can then move out of intervention with success. And so the middle school challenge is huge, and we will be working on that. But it's huge. It's scheduling. It's making certain that we do not punish children because they're not able to read. So I'm a strong supporter in the academic component, but kids also come to school for co-curricular and for enrichment opportunities. And our sports and our athletics are very important to developing the whole child. very important for our community. So I am not saying that we're going to place children in intervention and we're going to stop them from participating in these other great activities. Absolutely not. We just have to be intentional about knowing where children are and where we want to take them. And then we have to make certain that we apply a schedule that's based on student need and not on adult preference. Let's talk a little bit about college and career ready. Students need to have a choice. We have an entire nation of people that are not very certain about what the job market's going to be like 10, 15 years from now. We need to know that. We're really not sure. We don't know what it's going to look like 20 years from now. If you are parents, we don't really know what that job market is going to look like for your children 20 years from now. But what we do know, and as educators, you know that right now, we know that they have to be prepared to learn. Because completing high school is no longer a guarantee for a quality job. Completing high school with those critical thinking skills affords students an opportunity for choice. And that choice could be a community college, it could be a job, but understand that job is going to require on-the-job training. So are we preparing children for what happens to them once they leave us? Can they be trainable? Because many times, even students with a 4-year degree must go back to school to learn a skill. And they depend on community colleges or on-the-job training. All of us in this room require on-the-job training. We don't get a degree and start teaching and not continue to grow. Or become a secretary in their office and not realize that you have to go back to hone in on some skills. Not only the clerical part, but also how to service people and the customer service part. We're always in training. That's why it was funny when you mentioned about teachers and the easy job that they have. Really? But in the summer, you're probably in training. You're probably going back to obtain an advanced degree. You're probably teaching summer school. You're probably preparing the classroom. You're probably offering some help or assistance to someone. So you're really not off in the summer. That would always aggravate me when people would say that. You know, you have such an easy job because you have all the summers off. I have never had a summer off in 35 years. And I did not have off this summer. School climate and culture. To evaluate and fully implement positive behavior systems for a safe and supportive learning environment. And I'm certain our principals will be talking with you about that, and many of you already know that. We also have parent and community engagement, engage parent and community partners in schools to benefit the students. All of these things that I have just discussed with you, the parent engagement piece, the school climate and culture, and the academic excellence, those are all part of our strategic plan. We should not plan anything in our district unless we focus on our strategic plan. Because things come and go, you know, people want to sell you things. Everybody's product works. I have yet to meet a vendor who will come in and talk with us telling us, I really want you to buy this, Dr. Ruffin. It doesn't work, but I think you should buy it. No one says that. Everything works. Everything works if you do it to fidelity. And fidelity has this huge criteria that we must meet. And so we've got to be discerning, because if it doesn't address our strategic plan, we shouldn't be doing it. If our funding does not align with the strategic plan, we don't need to do that. And believe me, this school year, because there's so many things that we could address, we have to narrow and go deeper. Because we have to see results, so we can't be all over the map. We have to be specific. So you'll probably hear some questions about why are we doing that? Should we do that? Show me the data. Sometimes in my previous districts, people would just laugh at me and say, don't talk to her unless you can show her the data and show her the money. Just don't bother. Show her the data, show her the money, then go in if you're prepared, and she will listen. But you have to know it has to align to the strategic plan. If it doesn't align to the strategic plan, it might sound good, but we're not doing it. Very important. The engagement part for parents and community. Engagement, the word engagement, is recently in our professional conversations. It used to be parent and community involvement. So the involvement might be they're supporting you verbally, they might be giving you some funding, a little bit of money, but it may or may not be a real commitment. They may not be sitting with you at the table as you're making changes, as you're talking about changes. So that community and parent engagement piece means that we're doing more than just inviting people for parent-teacher conferences. You know, how are they engaged? It might mean that we're doing things using technology, using our website, using conferences, using opportunities to teach parents what they need to learn to help their children succeed at home. We might invite them to come in and sit next to their children while we're conducting a lesson so that they can understand what's going on with the lesson. That engagement piece comes in when your website becomes a place where people can go in and they can learn something from it that will help children inside your classroom. It might mean posting a lesson online so that that complex mathematical problem that you attempted to explain today, you know that it requires more explanation and more work. You can post that on your site, and students and parents can access it at all hours of the day or night so that they can learn from you what they may not have learned acceptably in the classroom. That engagement piece is huge. It's a mindset change. It involves customer service. Not all of our families feel good about going to school. Sometimes they don't feel good about going to school because they don't speak correctly. And they may not feel very comfortable going into a school setting and talking with a bunch of professionals who sometimes, you know, we have professional jargon that sometimes nobody understands. You know, we throw out things that, you know, well, we have to make AYP and we have to have our AMOs and, you know, we have to have an ISS to be able to SOS this, you know, we have a lot of jargon. People don't understand that. And if you don't feel comfortable going into a school, and that's the language people are going to throw at you, they don't want to come. Or why should they? Because they won't understand what we're telling them, even if they can. So, knowing that, you have to know your audience. You have to know the people that you're talking with. And sometimes that just means that you just break it down to the point where you're not just saying, your child didn't make progress because they didn't meet the achievement goal that we set for them this year, and therefore we're going to retain your child and they will not be promoted to the next grade. And we might break that down to a point where parents can understand early in the year that says, your child is having a difficult time reading on grade level because they're not able to decode words. And I would like your child to attend an after-school program with a teacher so that they can work on decoding, and I will keep you informed about the progress that they're making about every 2 weeks, and we can see whether they're learning to decode. Because once your child learns how to do that, then I can work with them to really understand what they're reading because they're having a difficult time understanding what's being read to them. That breaks it down a little bit because then they know they can't read. They don't need to know that they meet the objective or the goal that we set for them. Tell them what it is. So breaking it down is going to be critical, and you have to know the parents and the people in your community to have that conversation with them so that they can understand it. And then, of course, one of the last things in our strategic plan is that on an ongoing basis, the district's achievement and gap closure targets will be included as attachments to the plan. Implicit in the plan is the expectation that these targets will be met. Now, in our educational jargon, that means that we have got to show that what we're doing is working. We have got to have evidence that the hard work is the right work, and that we can demonstrate that by bringing data to the table. That's what that's telling us we need to do. So in your conversations with parents, that means that you're going to share with parents that your child is not making the progress that we want because right now they are reading at the first grade level and they are in third grade, and these are the things we're going to do to be able to help them. And then on a continuum, we have conversations with parents and with the children to show you're still at a third grade level, but you were at first. Now you're at 1.5. Now you're at 2. And people understand that. They understand if you're behind what you have to do to catch up. And so we have to have that kind of conversation with children. I'm going to go very quickly through the other slides because I know time is of essence. But it's important that you get from me the vision and the direction of this district. And I know that you have cards. You've been given cards. And so jot down any question that you have because I want to answer them. And I'm certain I can't answer all of your questions today in this forum, but I am deeply committed to answering your questions. And I will be using technology. I will probably be using something like Twitter. I cannot imagine myself using that, but I will. And I will get information out to you as quickly as I can. Professional learning communities. Long gone are the days when we just sit around and have a meeting. It has to be around data. It has to be around where our kids are. And what are we going to do about it? It has to be student focused. There's some non-negotiables. I've had conversations with the principals about that because it's so important that we take it from this broad array of things that we do and we really narrow it and we go very deep. So there are some things that we've always done and we might not be doing it all this year because we have to stay focused and we have to draw it in. We have to show that we're going to increase. And so where we see that our students are performing, and we have 40% or less of our students performing proficient and advanced, and for some, we don't have 30% at proficient and advanced. Look at your data and that will tell you what you need to do about that, but that data speaks volumes. We can't afford to make anything less than a 20% gain. If it's 40% or less of our students that are proficient or advanced. And the way that I explain that for anybody, it's imagine yourself, imagine your child in a place, in a school, where 30% of the children are performing at proficient or advanced. And imagine that is where that school stays for a long period of time. And you ask yourself, if your child is at the basic or below basic level, would you be satisfied with that? Where you are teaching, in your classroom, in your domain, would you want your child to have you as a teacher? Does the data say that when children go through your classroom, they're the highest performing students in the district. And that's good enough for my child. If it's not good enough for your child, why should it be good enough for mine? And I'm asking you that because that's what's important to me. It's important to me that when I make decisions, and you will see that, for the time that I'm here as your superintendent, you will see me making decisions based on, is that what I would want if my child was there? And that's what I expect us to do. The principals will discuss that with you. You've heard of my planning, 100-day plan. I've started to have community forums, focus groups. Focus groups are intentional and they're usually focused around a particular topic. We had a focus group last week and it focused on our technology, our teaching and learning and professional development plan. Because I am totally committed to making certain that we have a very clear understanding that it's not about getting a computer in front of every child. It's about getting the training for the teacher and the children on how to utilize the tool in the classroom for teaching and learning, and we must have a solid professional development plan to make that happen across the district. So the focus group was one of many that we would like to have, and if that's something that you would like to participate in, just indicate that on your card. But it's important that we hear from teachers and we hear from teacher groups to be able to address how we're going to get to a certain place in the district. Not just that we need to go there, but how we're going to go there. And advisory groups, I will have several advisory groups. You might choose to participate. I will have an advisory group of teachers, students. I would like an advisory group of support staff. I would like an advisory group to beyond just the school to address our future. Because it's equally important that we start having conversations and advisory groups with parents of our future students. They may not even be born yet. They may be only 2 or 1. But it's important that we have conversations and advisory groups with our clients, so to speak, because we need to hear from them, what kind of schools are you looking for your children in Jackson, Madison County schools? That's going to be critical as we talk about the future. And of course, we have our technology, teaching and learning, professional development implementation plan. This is going to be very significant to the district, and it's going to be a multi-year plan because we have a wide spectrum of readiness to implement technology. We have anywhere from the experts that can utilize it today to the ones who are still afraid to go to email. And we have to recognize that it's okay, that's just where we are. And then how do you take a teacher or a staff member from this point and get them to the point where they feel comfortable enough to use it for teaching and learning. So it's going to be huge, and it will depend on you and your input for us to get to that point. School turnaround is critical. School turnaround is not just a word, it's intentional. It talks about differentiated staffing. Some of our most challenging schools could be turned around with the right combination of staffing and resources and supports within that school system. What does that look like? And does it mean that we do a little bit different here than we do here? Yes, it does. It means that you use your data to be able to make some strategic, purposeful changes and supports. I talk about support a lot. You know, you can't direct everything. You've got to show people how to do the work that you're asking them to do. So that's important in school turnaround. We also have data. I'm sure your principals and all of you will be working on that. But you need to ask yourself, what have you learned from the data? I had a really great conversation with one of our principals yesterday And the data that he presented and the conversations with the staff, that's the kind of conversations we need to be having. And then we need to ask ourselves these questions that will help us determine our direction for our school, as well as the direction that we have for the district. So what have we learned from the data? It's more than surface conversation. It's digging really deep. What's it telling us? Are there anything, did we see anything unexpected? Why or why not? What are the next steps? What will you do the same? What will you do differently? What resources do you need? That's where you align your resources to what you say you need. You can't say that we have 60% of our students at basic or below basic level in reading and spend $30,000 on math. And vice versa. You can't say we have 80% of our students that are basic or below in mathematics, so we're going to put in a new science lab for $50,000. You have to align your resources with where your data says your needs are, and that's critical questions. These last 4 questions are critical, and I would hope that we would remember them and have them every day. What are students expected to know and learn? From that, I would like to see our teachers planning together, because if we're planning a 7th grade math lesson, it shouldn't be a 7th grade the way we teach it at Rose Hill, and a 7th grade the way we teach it at Northeast. And by the way, this is the way that we teach it at Tyrant. It should be some commonality in what we're expecting from our students, and it has to have the same amount of rigor. It can't be, well, this is an easy school, I think I'll try that one this week. Well, this school has high expectations. I really want my child to go there. We should have high expectations and be able to meet our needs of our children. So asking ourselves, what are students expected to know and learn? We've got to know that. That does come from a very strong curriculum with a scope and sequence and with a guide that helps direct that. And we are going to have that. It's important. You can't get to where we don't know the answer to that question unless we have that. The other part is how will we know that they have learned? So it's really paying attention to the assessments. And assessments are not tests. Assessments are just ways of being able to determine, did they learn what I taught? They can be verbal, they can be written, they can be a combination of, but it's how will you know they've learned it? And the third one is, what are you going to do if they have not learned it? That could be your tier intervention. But it's how you respond when something has not been learned. Because we haven't taught it and they haven't learned it. We might have stated it, but the learning part is where we have to be, all of us. And then the final one is, what do we do when they already know it? So we have students that already know things. They shouldn't be subjected to learning the same thing everybody else does if they're beyond that. So what do we do with all of our children? The ones who come to us below grade level, the ones who are below grade level, but we can move them up, and the ones who come already knowing. How do we have that balance? And I do believe with all of our teachers and our principals that we have here, we can figure out creative ways for our campus as well as strategic ways that we can address the needs of our children. And then you place the funding and your resources to address the needs of kids. And we work together. The central office has to be supportive. The central office has to be that partner with you, not the critic, but that partner with you to be able to get that work done. Because it's huge. No one person can do this work alone. I've said that a number of times, and I said it multiple times during my interview. It's not about me. Yes, I'm going to direct a vision. Yes, I'm going to be specific. about where we have to go and the urgency that we get there. I want you to know that I'm deeply committed to working with you. I was so excited about meeting you today. It means so much to me that you came. I want you to know that I realize that the work is hard. I know that it is hard. I know that sometimes we struggle because it's such, it's encompassing. It's all encompassing at times. You know, it zaps your energy. But we have to reach out and get a lifeline, and we have to know that we can't get tired. We have to know that our words are powerful. When we say to someone, you know, oh gosh, I have to go to work at that school, that's saying that when you get into that school, you take that with you. Kids pick up on that. Kids know. You can't fool a kid. You know that, don't you? You can't fool a kid. And the more that the child has been hurt, the more cynical and skeptical they are. And so you walk in and you just have a smile glued on your face. They may know something is wrong. If we take it out on them, they may or may not recover. Our words are powerful. What I say to you is powerful. What you say to me is powerful too. In a short time that I have been here, I've been extremely fortunate to meet many people. The Chamber has been very kind to me. Bank of Jackson, Bank Corp, all of our board members, our churches, our community, our parents, the ones that I see when I'm out grocery shopping, teachers that I see as I'm out grocery shopping or out in the stores, people that come in from various places, the State Department. People have been very kind to me. And I appreciate that. Because the work that we do and we're going to be doing in 2013-14 is hard work. It helps when you see a smiling face. I haven't fooled myself into thinking that everybody's going to be happy with every decision that I make all the time, because if I did that, then I couldn't accomplish the purpose for which I came here. I came here to make a difference. You are here in Jackson, Madison County schools to make a difference. What you do matters. What you say matters. People listen to you. You have influence. And using it for the purpose of achieving our goals and our vision for Jackson, Madison County schools is serious business. Can't always make everybody happy. I'm here to be able to make us better. I need you to do that. I ask you to be supportive as we do that, knowing that change is hard. You can't ask people to change unless you're willing to join with them and help them to make that change. But change is hard. Real change is very difficult. Most people can't make real change. Because the first time you try, here comes the critics. And you have to be so focused that you know that what you're doing has to have influence on where you're going. And that's something that I ask of you to join me as we work together for the benefit of Jackson Madison County schools with a focus on students. What we do matters to students. I'm deeply grateful for your being here this morning. I leave you with a closing poem. As I woke up this morning, there was something that was very compelling to me to share with you as we embark on this. someone said the other day that they were just wondering about this new superintendent. You know, is she going to be good? And said, I don't know. She hasn't done anything yet. We have to see. And so, as I do something, I ask you to understand that we can't change and stay the same. I'm not going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to work hard at doing myself.
Very good.
I'm not going to ask our principals to do something that I can't offer them the support to help them to learn how to do it. I'm not asking you, teachers and support staff. I'm not asking our bus drivers, our custodians. I'm not asking all of our cafeteria staff. I'm not asking our families, or I'm not asking them to do anything that I would not be willing to do for my own child. Because that's really important to me. My child's life is really important to me. And I will treat your children like they're mine as well. That's how important and how serious this business is. So I leave you with this as I ask you for support. And many people who have said, I'm really praying for you, don't stop. The work has just begun. And as someone says, I don't know, she's good or not, she hasn't done anything yet. So as I start doing something, I want you to understand that it's hard. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. What you spend years creating, others will destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous, but be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. I thank you very much.
Customers share ownership of us, and every decision we make is informed by what is best for them. We're also a not-for-profit, which keeps our expenses low and allows us to be incredibly competitive in our pricing for loans and deposits. When we think about the future of Leaders Credit Union, we're guided by the focus on your needs as an owner. What is most convenient for you? How can we simplify your banking task while enriching your household's financial outlook? Our goal is to merge our expertise in the latest in technological advancements into a seamless experience that rewards your hard work and loyalty. Leaders Credit Union began in 1957 under the name of Jackson-Madison County Teachers Credit Union. 5 teachers each paid $5 into a cigar box, and one kept a ledger. They wanted to provide area teachers with a competitive way to both save and borrow money. Back in the day, teachers didn't have a whole lot of options, and when it came to borrowing from homes and cars, Leaders was their solution.
You may have always thought of Leaders Credit Union as a savings and loan, but over 15,000 West Tennesseans choose Leaders for their checking account. We offer 3 great accounts that all offer a free MasterCard debit card, online mobile banking, and access to over 68,000 ATMs worldwide. Leaders Credit Union also has a savings account to fit your goals as a saver. Whether you want financial security, to plan for education, or just set a little back for vacation, we have the right account for you. We're fairly insured by the National Credit Union Administration, so you can trust us with your deposits.
When we thought about what our members wanted in a credit card, we wanted to avoid compromises. That's what you'll get with our Visa Platinum Rewards credit card. Our credit card has a very robust rewards program without sacrificing the interest rate. Our rates start low and stay low, so the money you spend is the money you pay back. There are no annual fees, no minimum finance charges, and no transaction fees for purchases or balance transfers. You can be rewarded for making everyday purchases with points, merchandise, or even cash back.
If you're looking for your first home loan, or even wanting to refinance, Leaders Credit Union has exactly the product you need. With our best pricing guarantee, our members can enjoy the confidence of knowing they're getting the best West Tennessee has to offer. The beauty of the credit union home loan is not only in the pricing. Since we're a not-for-profit, our focus is on your financial strength as a member. Your home loan is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make, and we want it to be a positive experience from start to finish.
Here at Leaders Investment Services, we believe in the principle of the golden rule of treating others how we would want to be treated. We only give our members the investment advice that we would give ourselves. We help you understand where you are, where you are headed, and how to get there. We want to help our members control risk, accumulate wealth, and transfer that wealth to whom they feel appropriate.
At Leaders Credit, we are preparing for the future of banking. We've considered your convenience into everything we do. Almost everything that can be done within a branch can be done online, making transfers, paying bills, and even applying for new accounts. Online banking is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you can do your banking when it's right for you. For us, the future is mobile banking. Are you wondering if that check to your local grocery store is cleared? You can check the status of your transaction right on your smartphone or tablet. Our apps also allow you to find the nearest branch or ATM, as well as checking your balance, viewing transaction history, and transferring funds between accounts. Soon you'll even be able to deposit checks using your mobile phone's camera. The future is here at Leaders Credit Union.
Although Leaders Credit Union is quickly adopting services that allow you to access your membership remotely, we understand that banking will always be a relationship-driven business. We currently have 6 retail facilities in West Tennessee, located in Jackson, Union City, and Bartlett. These facilities are all equipped with 24-hour ATMs and convenient drive-through service. We also provide our members with access to nationwide branch and ATM networks free of charge. Our relationship with CU Service Centers adds 5,000 branch locations to our U.S. network, and we offer over 68,000 surcharge-free ATMs worldwide through partnerships with Allpoint and the Co-op network. Being a member of Leaders Credit Union is not only the most cost-effective way to manage your money, it's also the most convenient.
First began, our members' shares were kept in the school janitor's closet in Jackson. Now we're one of the top 5 financial institutions in deposit share in the Jackson area. We also partner with over 200 small, medium, and large employers to provide exclusive benefits to their employee groups. When I became president in 1990, we held $17 million in assets. Today we're over $200 million in assets and 30,000 members strong. Although our beginning was humble, our relationship with our members has always been special. They're at the beginning and the end of every decision we make because they own Leaders Credit Union.
Good morning. Pretty good. My name is Todd Swims. I'm the President and CEO of Leaders Credit Union. Let me also welcome each of you here to your system-wide Inservice. You know, each school year in many ways is a lot like a new calendar year. Teachers and students alike anticipate really a new beginning and a fresh start. My wife is a teacher, and now for about 20 years, and each fall brings with it new challenges, I can tell you, and opportunities. We're so excited today to once again sponsor your Inservice. As many of you know, Leaders Credit Union has committed to providing $100,000 to the Jackson-Madison County school system for the purpose of developing its educators professionally. Each year, we will be providing a check for $10,000 to your school system, and this is just the latest chapter in a half-century-long relationship between Leaders Credit Union and the Jackson-Madison County Schools. As I mentioned in the video segment that you just saw, you are our heritage, and we take immense pride in the foundation of Teachers Credit Union. Our financial strength and continued growth are prime examples of what is possible when teachers like yourself commit to a noble cause. I want you to know that in 2013-14 school year, it won't be an easy one for sure. Again, as a husband of a teacher, I know this all too well. However, I want you to know that we have an entire community in your corner. We're cheering you on, and we're looking for new ways to support your good work here. You are truly shaping the lives of our future leaders. Don't forget that, and I commend you for that. Our community will be better and stronger because of you. I can tell you that an educated member makes a true difference. In my business, the members that are well-informed are generally more financially prosperous, more informed. They can make educated decisions more so than those without that type of education. It truly makes a difference in their lives, in their retirement, whether they retire in poverty or in prosperity. I'd like to also welcome Dr. Ruffin. I'm so excited to see her here in this community. I've had a chance to actually meet her several times, and I know that she's truly going to make a difference in our school system. Again, it's my privilege to be here to support you in this new school year, and if there's ever anything that we can do, please let us know. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Those excited people ready for school. This is appropriate that we start our school year off on today's day. Today is National Support Education Day. So that is a day for the greatest professionals in the world, I believe. I would like to introduce a few people, just a couple. First, I'd like to introduce the ARs. If you're an AR at your school, association representative for Dr. Ruffin, because I actually mentioned that to her, and she thought we were talking about accelerator reader. So if you are a representative at your school, if you would stand for me so that those people in your school will know that if they have any issues. And I also invited a group of people, and those that have been part of this group, past presidents. If you are a past president of the association, if you would stand. It's wonderful to have Mr. Fair here, who is also the retired teachers past president. So it doesn't stop once you leave your profession. The Retired Teachers Association is going to need you because they are our support as well. I want you to take a second to think, what if there wasn't a JMCSS or TEA or NEA? If you've heard all the things that have been going on in the news today about education, then of course you'll appreciate the fact that we do exist. And I wanted to take the opportunity, because I wasn't going to speak that long today, I wanted to take the opportunity to bring a friend from TEA. This is Mr. Jim Rye, and he's the government relations manager. And he is going to give you some information about some of the past things that have gone on with the association and with your profession. So once again, I'm Jeff Davis, and I'm the president of JMCSS. So if you have any questions,
appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I'm the chief lobbyist for the teachers of Tennessee. I work with the General Assembly, and I lobby the administration. What, no sympathy? When I was teaching, fourth block was always the toughest, and that's where we're at right now, fourth block. I want to ask you a question, and I'd like for you to be vocal in your response. Are teachers professionals? Yes. Is teaching a profession? Yes. I didn't really hear. Is teaching a profession? Yes. Yes, absolutely. It is a profession. And the Tennessee Education Association is the largest professional association in the state. Right? We stand for the teaching profession. When I was teaching in the classroom, my wife too, we were both members. I was teaching in Alabama. I've been hearing a lot of them, waiting for them. I'm waiting for somebody to say something about the Vols and the Crimson Tide. I moved up here in December, and boy, there's a lot of orange in this state. But we were members. Really? But we were members. There are two issues for us as professionals why we be members. I mean, the first one is very personal. Quite frankly, I appreciated what the mayor was saying and other people about, we have a very important, critical job. And quite frankly, teachers are the only professionals the majority of Tennessee families deal with on any given day. I want you to really think about that for a second. All right? The majority of Tennessee families, they don't see a dentist every day. They don't see a lawyer every day. They don't meet a police officer or a firefighter. They don't talk to an accountant. But most Tennessee families deal with, work with, come in contact with a teacher. And we don't get to choose the families and the students. That's part of one of the issues. We take all comers and we care for all of our students. We want them all to succeed. And the vast majority of Tennesseans understand that. We are for the students. We show up every day. We do work long hours. But part of being a member, there are some times when we deal with so many different families, we don't control what happens in those families. And I appreciated that initial video that started off this whole thing. It was very powerful, right? It was very powerful. Sometimes families change, sometimes they go into crisis, and sometimes that comes back onto the teacher. That's a fact. I look and I've gone around the state and I look at the association where things happen in families, and sometimes that comes into the classroom, sometimes that gets to us as professionals. Sometimes it becomes a very bad situation. And that is when you will need to have tens of thousands of other Tennessee teachers to stand with you. When you think about membership, that is in of itself. You talk about your good name, which is critical. You talk about your teaching license, which is critical. And at some point, heaven forbid if this does happen, heaven forbid, but at some point, you may need to have tens of thousands of other Tennessee teachers to stand with you at a critical moment. So that's sort of a personal reason why membership is important. But then we talk about the macro things. And the reason why I wanted to start off with the idea is teaching a profession is, quite frankly, as you know and as I know, our profession is under assault. If you think about all of the things that are coming down, right, about how our profession is viewed. Critically right now, I was talking to some folks out in the foyer about the idea of what the state board now is looking at for licensure. They want to make changes to licensure. Now, the shorthand of it, the way I view it, and the way the Tennessee Education Association views it, is they want to make test scores a part of licensure. Now, let me talk to you about what a professional license is. A professional license should not be based on outcomes. So much of what we do, and I appreciate Dr. Ruffin talking about data, test scores matter, They're becoming more and more critical for us as professionals all the time. But licensure, what you did to go to college, to graduate school, all of the professional development to maintain your teaching license, the idea that an outcome could affect that license, not whether you're hired or fired or anything, but your teaching license is wrong, and we oppose it fundamentally. Would we allow a dentist's license to be pulled because their patients had too many cavities? Right? Would we allow an accountant license to be pulled because, some of their clients didn't tell them about all that side income and they get hauled into the IRS? Licensure, your ability to teach, should not be based on what year's test scores you have. This is the fundamental issue that we're dealing with the state board right now. Now look, here is the thing. Only the Tennessee Education Association is there fighting that fight. We talk to state board members, we talk to legislators, and we're talking to the Commissioner of Education. Now, these are big issues that are on the table right now. Another thing that just happened with the State Board of Education was something called the minimum salary schedule. Now, that doesn't really affect here in Jackson-Madison, because Jackson-Madison is about 10% above the state minimum salary schedule. But just down the road, in some rural counties just adjacent to this county, the minimum salary schedule matters to those teachers. Now, the commissioner proposed to gut the minimum salary schedule. That's a fact. He wanted to change the minimum salary schedule from 20 steps, which kept teachers within inflation. He wanted to collapse it to 4 steps, ending at 11 years. And he wanted to take the 4 advanced degree categories, and you all probably can tell me in your sleep what those 4 degree categories are. Master's, master's plus 30, ed specialist, doctor. He wanted to take all of those and collapse them to one called advanced degrees. And what this did was it fundamentally dropped the state minimum salary schedule. And for the first time, the state of Tennessee in over 30 years would not recognize higher degrees matter as a teacher. Again, starting off with the idea that you're a professional and that you went and got more professional development, which is graduate school, which is getting a doctorate, which is moving forward. That matters to how you practice. And for a long time, the state had understood that did matter, and they made sure that there was compensation for that additional training, just like any other profession. Now, the state minimum salary schedule went before the state board, and it was a hard fight, and we narrowly lost that fight. I will say this, though. Locally here, Dr. Melvin Wright, who's a dentist here in town, he voted against the plan that got the minimum salary schedule. 5-4. But here's what was laid out in that, is that we proved to not only the people that voted against it at the State Board of Education, but I have personally talked with almost all legislators about this issue. The state minimum salary schedule, there was a proposal in the General Assembly 2 years ago to get rid of it. And the General Assembly said no. The state minimum salary schedule matters for the small schools lawsuits, how we develop the BEP, and it leverages local money. You can't do that. So the state board decided to do it itself. So what I'm doing right now, and what your professional association is doing, is going and working with the General Assembly to pass a bill to restore the state minimum salary schedule. I know this stuff is often really dry, but this matters to us. How we're going to be treated as professionals. This matters to us. You all have a big job ahead. There is no doubt. You need the support. What we see over and over is not support, but demands. What we see over and over, and what was encouraging to listen to Dr. Ruffin, was about support. We need support. Now, speaking of support, I will say this too. There are 3 legislators here in the Jackson, Madison area. Jimmy Eldridge, Joan Shaw, and Ruffin. All three have been tremendous friends of education in the last session. Tremendous. If you see them, would you please tell them we appreciate your support and we've asked them to grow. There are other big issues coming up. Ones that are going to deal not only with our profession, but our ability to function as public schools. In the past session, there was a bill for vouchers. Taking public money away from schools and giving it to private institutions. Now, first off, the state constitution says that the General Assembly is responsible for a free public school system. It doesn't say vouchers. We were able to fight that bill to a standstill. It did not pass. Well, what I tell you, I'm actually not looking for applause, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Here's the key with the vouchers. What I show, and I appreciate Dr. Ruffin, you talk about data all the time. Vouchers have never been proven to be better than public schools. That is a fact. Never been proven. And in fact, if you look at major studies in Illinois and in New York, they do worse. I know against the common wisdom for a lot of people, the idea that, private school will always be better than public school. Well, that's simply not the case. And it's for us as a professional association to make sure those facts are known. It's the same with charter schools. There was an effort for a statewide charter authorizer. Again, the data is clear. Charter schools do not do better than public schools. That's right. I think it is something. And the last bit of data that I leave with, when we talk about investment, here is the issue. And again, Dr. Ruffin, I appreciate when you talk about investing, get the resources that are needed. Here are some very basic facts about Tennessee. We are 45th in the nation in what we invest per child. That's a fact, right? We are 45th in the nation in what we invest per child. We also are 41st in the nation in child poverty. And while nobody would ever say children from poverty can't learn, of course not, we work hard at that every day. But it does represent huge issues going forward for education. It just does. We know it to be true. Again, opening up on that video. Powerful video. Poverty does bring issues into our classroom. So how are we doing, Tennessee? How are we doing? Well, here is the most salient fact of all education data points in the state. Tennessee ranks 9th in the nation in graduation rates. I say really. Look, and here's what I tell the administration, and here's what I'll tell the General Assembly. Bottom 10 money, top 10 results. Imagine what we could do if we increased investment. Imagine what we could do. But the fact is we haven't increased investment. The BEP has been static. Chuck, you have a tough job coming up, right? Technology. We're supposed to be all wired up for the park exams and Common Core and all these things coming down the pipe. And the governor put into his budget $51 million. And there were people going, wow, that's an amazing amount of money for technology. Well, if you break it down per student, if you, let's say, anybody, a 4th grade teacher here, raise your hand. 4th grade teacher, I see you in the back there, so I'll just point to you. All right, 4th grade teacher, you've got maybe 23, 25 students. You haven't seen the rosters yet, so, that will equate to about $1,600 for your classroom. That's how much it is per student. About $36, $37 per student. That is what the state is going to contribute. Anybody who's doing budgets now will know. There's not enough money coming from the state to demand all the things that we need. So we, as a professional association, need to demand from our legislators and from the administration better investments for our schools. We don't need to be shipping money to other places. We need to have increased investment in our schools here. So listen, there are some big fights coming up as far as our profession. We have some big changes, Common Core being principal. changes in testing. And on top of all of that, we have an evaluation system that's based in testing. And we have a push to have pay based in testing. Well, one of the concerns moving forward is when we change the test, what happens? When Kentucky changed its test last year to the Common Core, test scores dropped by 1/3. Now, did that mean did the students know 1/3 less? No, of course not. When you change the format from the test, data says something amazing. Test scores just drop. It's a new test. People don't understand it. Our students are not ready for it. Remember when we changed the TCAP? Did our students know any less? No. But the change in the test had this drop. We're not talking about what's in the content of the test, but the format itself has implications. So on all of these changes, we need to make sure of one thing, that teaching is understood to be what? A profession. That's what we stand up for every day, and to make sure we have the investments necessary for us and our children to succeed. Listen, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Ruffin, thank you for inviting me to speak today. And, guys, she talked about being a band director. Did you notice during her first standing ovation how she had us all be seated? I noticed that as she commanded the floor. I caught that. So, guys, I knew right away that we had the right superintendent, and I want to tell you why. Those of you who know my family, grandfathers Ed, dad's Eddie Lee. I go in to meet Dr. Ruffin, and we're talking. I introduce myself, Eddie Lee, and she gently reaches across, and she said, "You know, we all have noble names here in the South. You just call me Verna Dean." I'm still going to call you Dr. Ruffin. I want to thank the school board. I want to thank you guys that participated in the process, because already I can tell we have a superintendent that has the knowledge and the skill and the energy. And she's brought so many people together already, that connectedness, as she's doing this. So I want to thank you guys, and thank you to Dr. Ruffin. Guys, I have 4 children in the public schools, and I'm very proud to say that. Today, when I saw the color guard march out, when I heard Madison's, and from Northside, and then I heard Madison's choir, and I heard the alto, the soprano 1, soprano 2, I heard baritone, I think I even heard a little bass in there. My heart soared. My heart soared because I'm a product of this school system. I was born in Jackson. My higher education is from Jackson. I'm a Jacksonian from Madison County, and I'm proud. I want us to be number 1 at every school. I want us to be number 1 in extracurricular activities and academics. And today, when I hear our leaders stand up here, and forgive me, my athletic background, much of my career was spent in athletics, I feel like we're in a pregame speech. I feel like we're getting ready to break the huddle and go hit the field, Coach. Head Coach Ruffin. And they break Ruffin. Guys, Dr. Ruffin has been so generous. She has a strong background in nonprofit. Today, we saw the video which pricked our hearts. So many of the speakers today have brought us back to the video. Dr. Ruffin has agreed to join our board with the United Way of West Tennessee. She's agreed to bring her skill set to our board to help us ratchet up our efforts in education. Mr. Bobby Arnold is our board chair, and he sees the importance in education in this community, as we all do. She's also agreed to be the keynote speaker at our Women's Leadership Conference that will be held at the University of Memphis Lambeth campus, and Chrissy Haslam will be here, and she's speaking. I say all that to say this, guys. I think so much of our focus and so much of what we want to do is aligned, and we have to bring that together and move forward. Some of the programs we have speak directly every day to what you do as teachers and what I do as a parent. We have our Born Learning. We have our Imagination Library. We have our Raise Your Hand Tennessee, where the United Way promotes reading, mentoring, tutoring, We have our Day of Action where we encourage people to interact with our students. We have our preschool program, our pre-K, and we have our Text for Babies to help mothers that are pregnant get ready to bring that child into this world. So guys, as we move forward, I ask you today to think about the United Way. You're going to receive some materials throughout the course of the year. I'd ask you to look at those. We have 21 agencies right here in Jackson, Madison County that work every day to make this place better. And some people say, well, how does all this work with United Way? If you picture for a moment this side of the room, these are people in need. Now think about as we go to work every day, if we have a disagreement with our husband or with our wife, or if there's something going on with the kids, do we get a little bit off track? Is it hard sometimes to stay focused? Well, think about our children that are in a situation of child abuse. It's got to be stopped. Think about our children that are coming to school hungry. Think about our children that heard mom and dad in a domestic violence situation that night screaming and yelling, and they can't focus. Think about them coming to school with peer pressure and bullying and all the issues, and those children are coming to your classroom and expected to do what? To concentrate, to focus, get in here. Well, we as adults understand how hard it is to focus. Well, imagine our children. Well, guys, this is what we as United Way do in our volunteers. We have this client base. Well, then we have agencies that work with our client base in so many different areas. And then we have volunteers and donors that raise money to give to those agencies. And guess who decides who gets the money? Not our board, not our staff, not myself. Our volunteers like you come together in our community investment and community impact process from people all over the community, and they sit right here in our office in Jackson, Tennessee, and they decide on Imagination Library, Carl Perkins Center, RAP, American Red Cross. I could go on and on and on, 21 of them. So guys, it's you guys. If you'd like to volunteer for that process, we'd like to have you as part of it. So that's what United Way does. And I want to share one last thing with you. There's someone in the room here today that's been greatly affected, and many of us have. Someone in this room was burned from the back of their neck down to their bottom. And thanks to a great agency and support group, they were able to recover. There's someone here in this room that had a child born with a birth defect. That child is now 16 years old and doing great. But thanks to our donors and volunteers and great agencies, that child is doing great. There's someone here in this room that had another child born with a learning disability, and thanks to a great school system and an IEP and counselors and people working with that child was able to battle out of that IEP and no longer be part of that program. Victory story. There's someone in this room whose family was affected by a fire, and the American Red Cross, the United Way, came to that family's aid to help them. There's someone here in this room that was recently their family affected by a flood. And our great agencies and our volunteers and our donors provided for that person and their family in this community. And there's someone here in this room today that broke their neck and was paralyzed from the chin down. And thanks to a great team of doctors, a great family support, a great community, that person got everything back and is no longer paralyzed and has lived a full life. That person's me. That person could be somebody on a poster. And I posed that question, not for applause, but to say this. I was speaking to a class, a marketing class at the college level here in this town. And I said, let's make a poster of what someone who needs help from the community in the United Way would look like. Let's put that together. And what would that poster look like? Us. Everyone in this room could stand up here today and tell a story similar to mine. Everyone could they not? Guys, that's a powerful thing, and I just want to say thank you so much for the leadership you provide for our children. I know you know this, but I've got to say it. The little things you do creates duplication with our children. They see a kind word. They see how you discipline. Discipline's important. But as we bring them down, we've got to bring them up. And guys, I want to thank you for that and ask that you help us out this year with United Way. And thank you, Dr. Ruffin, for inviting us to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eddie Lee from Verna. that is my middle name. And when I go back home, no one calls me Verna. No one calls me doctor. No one calls me anything that I can go back to in that place called home unless I go somewhere and someone from the back shopping or church or someone says, Verna Dean, back in town. So we all have roots that are very dear to us. Thank you so much for today. I would like to thank Northside High School for the presenting of the colors. I'm always so moved every time, all the time, when I see our young men and women posting the colors and they come out and it's such an amazing thing, not just about the school. And thank you, Ricky. Thank your ROTC staff, your students, but it also says something really powerful about America, about where we are and what we stand for. And I know I'm going to leave a lot of things out today, but I want to thank all of you who serve or have served, or your families are serving or have served in the military, because you're amazing. Also would like to thank our wonderful ensemble from Madison. It's truly wonderful. I enjoy hearing all very appreciative of Ms. Foote and your wonderful message. Mayor Harris, our school board, I thank you. Jim and George and David for being here today, and all of our school board members if you're here somewhere in the audience. Really thank you. And our wonderful teachers, secretaries, clerical, our support staff. We have many of our custodians here, cafeteria workers, our bus drivers. You make this happen. And I'm so deeply moved and excited. I know I won't sleep this week. I'm probably going to sleep in 2 weeks, but right now I'm just operating on a lot of energy that comes from you and the work that we need to do. So I thank you so very much. I know that this afternoon you have much to do, and the professional development and the staff professional learnings that you are going to have this afternoon and tomorrow and the day after have been intentionally scheduled. There are opportunities for you and your staff to continue to learn about balanced literacy, which is our focus in the district. Very, very focused on literacy. You'll also have opportunities to continue learning all year that will be based on our strategic plan and based on our mission and our purpose for the entire school year. I challenge you to be purposeful in everything that you attend. If it's not helping us learn, and I say us because I continue to learn too, if it's not helping us learn to be better at our craft, we probably need to not go. It needs to help us to be better at that profession that is really, really, really critical. And I come to you with a very strong background in teacher-leader effectiveness. So while I may have a little bit of a different view on some of the issues that are out there, I want to know that highly effective teachers, highly effective leaders are the only way to be able to move our district forward. There's not a program, there's not a license, there's not a degree, there's not one single immediate fix that will get us to where we need to go, other than that burning desire to continue to learn from each other and to be that highly effective teacher and that highly effective student and that highly effective person that influences the lives of children. And the critical issues that we have to face this year from the teacher perspective that I hope that you join those advisories and forums. I want to hear from our teachers. Some of those key issues you touched on, the licensure, the teacher leader effective, which affects all of the teachers as well as all of the principals and administrators. The differentiated pay, which we are charged with developing for this year, and I'm asking our teachers to be a part of that group with us in the district as we address that. Compensation is huge as well. We've not had a substantial raise for our teachers in a long time. It really would truly reflect the profession that we would like to have everyone called to. But those are critical issues, and I look forward to engaging our teachers in those conversations, because that's where I see our teacher focus groups coming together and joining us in our district as we look at ways to be able to affect the teaching and learning profession. That's key. I also believe that being in education is a calling. So you are called. Consider yourself called. Called to be a board member. Called to be a person who touches the lives of children. And so as you go out today, understand that I wasn't trying to just motivate you, because motivation dies out when you leave the room. I'm asking that you rise to the call that is yours, to go out and to positively affect the lives of every single child in Jackson, Madison County schools. I thank you so much for being here this morning. I look forward to receiving your questions on those cards. I think everybody knows where to go after you leave here, but be safe and know that you have been called. Thank you.